Oh, hello, this is Tak Chung from Walk with Tak. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This morning is absolutely gorgeous when I went down to the river. I can hear the birds singing all around me. And the river is getting very shallow this time of the year. I can just simply stand in the middle of the river. And I thought you might enjoy to be down in the river with me. This is a good time for me to think about today's video. I realize that not everybody likes tofu. Today's video is more a demonstration of principle of how to flavor a dish. Because as the saying goes, you love flavor first before you love the food. My son loved this dish. In fact, he said this is probably one of his most favorite dish ever. Like most children grow up in America, he was spoiled early in his life by eating too much fast and processed food, and I partly take responsibility. For example, for many years, the Burger King meal is his most favorite meal. And because of the flavor of the dish that I created with this tofu dish, he now actually prefers this over Burger King. And for me, that is quite an achievement, and you might agree with me. And your question is that, how did you do it? And in this video, I'm going to demonstrate the saying that you love flavor first before you love the food is truly applicable. Tofu was never my son's favorite. In fact, if you have him eat another tofu dish, he probably won't like it. And the reason that he loved this dish is not because he loved tofu, but he loved the flavor. And of course, the tofu plays an important role in the flavor of this dish. The texture of the tofu plays a significant role how it blends the flavor together. The tofu I use in this dish is nothing special about it. It's just the typical tofu that I got from Walmart. It is the firm type, and it costs only about $1.70. Now, it turned out that the shape of the tofu actually is very important. I cut them into cubes. They are just about bite size. Actually, I was quite surprised. One time I cut the tofu too small, and my son actually told me that. He said, hey, this tofu is not the right size. And there is a concept about mouthfeel, that how the food ingredient feel in the mouth, and it has to be just the right size in order for it to feel right. And cutting the tofu to the right size is an excellent example for that. And I have learned over the years to create the best flavor for the dish. There are many contributing factors. And this dish definitely is a clear example of how these different factors play a role. And the great thing about this dish is that it is so simple and fast. And it takes me only about 5 minutes to cook it. The other ingredients that I use to cook this dish are some frozen vegetables. I actually use quite a bit of frozen vegetables, altogether about 4 cups. I start with some frozen edamame, which is shelled soybean. My son loves frozen edamame, which also become popular, and most people use them in a salad, but they're excellent also when you cook them in a stir-frying dish. My son loves edamame, and I know this contributes to the flavor of the dish. And next, I'm going to add some frozen sweet corn. Now, he is okay with sweet corn, but it adds to the flavor of the dish because of the sweetness of the corn. I got this frozen sweet corn from the Aldi supermarket, but once I got some frozen corn from Walmart, and they were not sweet, and clearly my son did not like that, and he told me about it. The first frozen vegetable that I add to it is a vegetable mix. It contains green bean, peas, carrots, and corn. Unfortunately, the corn in this frozen vegetable mix are not sweet corn. so I try not to use too much of them. Now it turned out that in order to make the dish turn out right, at least for his taste, the ratio of these vegetables has to be just right. For example, he would not like it if I put in too much edamame, or vice versa, too much sweet corn. For him, he would like to have a equal ratio between the edamame and sweet corn. Whereas for me, I would like to have a lot of edamame, just a tiny bit of sweet corn. And to me, that's the great thing about home cooking, because you can tailor the dish in terms of the amount of ingredients that you want to put in exactly the way how you like them. I'm going to cook this dish in my new hybrid wok, and I did a video on reviewing this wok, and you can take a look at this video to learn more about the characteristics of this particular wok. I heat up about 1 tablespoon of cooking oil before I add the vegetable mix to the wok. I don't need much cooking oil in cooking this dish. I add the frozen vegetable directly to the wok without thawing them out. And based on my experience, this actually makes the frozen vegetable to stay better without getting too soggy. To get the flavor just right in this dish is critical for my son. This is a good example of flavor chasing, which is one of the 4 attributes of my fast cooking system. The first thing I'm going to add is about 1 tablespoon of spicy sesame oil. However, if I cook this dish for me, I probably will skip the sesame oil. My son loves this tofu to be spicy, so I add about 1.5 teaspoons of hot chili pepper flakes. Again, if I cook this dish for me, I probably will use only about 1/4 of this amount because I don't like spicy food as much as he does. And next, I add 1 teaspoon of garlic pepper. This gives the dish a nice peppery flavor, but it also provides a strong garlic flavor as well. I add another 1 tablespoon of minced garlic to make the dish even more garlicky. And next, I add 1.5 tablespoons of oyster sauce. The oyster sauce will provide a savory flavor. To make the dish more salty, I add about 1 tablespoon of soy sauce. And to provide a sweetness to the dish, I add 1 tablespoon of hoisin sauce. This might seem to be an elaborate way to season a dish, but it really is not. This is a process of flavor chasing, which is mainly through try and error and experimentation. I know what my son prefers in terms of flavor, so I start out moving in that direction. And then he will provide me feedback, such as I like it a bit more salty or I like it more spicy, and then I make changes accordingly. So this is a good example of template-based cooking. I use a basic template and I make adjustment accordingly. After I complete flavoring the dish, I add the tofu to the wok. For this dish, the integrity of the tofu is important. Now in the final step of seasoning, I add a half tablespoon of teriyaki sauce. This is a commercially prepared teriyaki sauce. And then I add half tablespoon of a General Tso sauce. I added these 2 sauces. The intention is to make the flavor of the dish more complex. It will also make the flavor more savory. And now the tofu doesn't need much cooking at all. All I have to do is mix all the ingredients together. The flavor of the tofu will come from the sauce that attached to the tofu. Now, without any questions, the sauce of this dish is very powerful. Because the tofu is relatively bland, so this creates a stark contrast between the sauce and the tofu. And it is this contrast to make the dish taste great. In many ways, this is exactly the same when you eat a salad with a powerful and strong salad dressing. This will create a contrast with a subtle flavor that offered by, say, the lettuce in the salad. Each time when I cook this dish, my son will give me suggestions how to improve the flavor of the dish. So I cook this dish probably for about a month or so, and I make continuing progress. And to the point, now my son said to me, "Don't change anything. That is exactly how I like it." He has been eating this dish for about the last 4 weeks, every single day. And I asked him, I said, "Did you ever get tired of it?" Oh, he said, "Not at all." And primary reason is because of the complexity of the flavor that I concocted using all the different flavoring agents. Somehow it triggered the pleasure center of his brain. But it is wonderful that he loved a dish that is good for him. As I mentioned in the beginning of this video, this is intended to be to provide you as a template of how you do flavor chasing, which is a continual process of improvement by try and error and experimentation. Once you reach the flavor that you love, no matter how you do it, you will become your own very best cook, and you will not want anybody else to cook for you. And to me, that is what makes home cooking sustainable. If you'd like to learn more about my fast cooking system, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. So keep on cooking. I will see you tomorrow.